associate membership. They said $1,800. So I said, you got to have a new category. I'd be glad to give you 25, $500, $250. But I can't afford $3,500. So they made friends. Except I wound up becoming a friend. So that you got to be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
I think it's today. There's a cool. There's something so cute in the Gemara today. I don't remember the Tanaim, but one says you can plug up the leaks. Right. In a small pitcher, but not in a big barrel.
Right.
The other says, no, you can plug up the big barrel, but not the small pitcher.
Yeah.
And the Gemara says that halachas relating to Chol Hamoed are like a barren woman. They exist, they function, but you can't learn anything from them. Just like a barren woman has no children. You cannot
derive
one from another. But that analogy, a barren woman, because she's of use to her husband, but beyond that.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to start with the sponsors. All right, and then we'll get going. Okay. And then by then, some more of our crew will be on board, hopefully. Okay, Harvey, you're here. Ruvain?
I'm here.
Okay. All right, learning sponsors, Suanani Gerelek, in memory of Malka Proman and Philip Man. And Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, and Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Rosner, Bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. And in memory of family murdered in the Holocaust, Arav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends. In memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman Edelbas Yaakov, Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Sidell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan, friends of Avi Gidler, Avrameya ben Shimon, and Martha Gidler, China Bat Yeshaya, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Sarah Tova Bat Yisrael Dov in her memory, friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef ben Chaim, Charlie Galfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata Bat Aster, friends of Nina Moynester, Nechama Asna Bat Yitzchak Aharon, many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Lezecha Nishmat Simcha Melech Ben Meir Leib Halevi, friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracham, a month of learning by Haran and Mel Haller in memory of her mother, Malka Rachel Bas Yehuda Leib, B. Pizer in memory of her husband, Rav Yisrael Chaim ben David, Tova and Leo Zimmer, in memory of her mother, Henya Bas Rav Beryl, and her father, Aaron ben Yosef Mordechai, Perry and Jill Meltzer, in memory of his mother, Malka Bas Baruch, and his sister, Goldalea Bas David Halevi, Stanley Presser, in memory of his mother-in-law, Golda Bas Leber, his mother, Leah Bas Yehuda, and his wife, Mincha Bas Moshe. Carol and Josh Sanborn, her father, Yehoshua Shia ben Moshe Yehuda HaKohen, David and Sharon Carpel, in memory of his father, Zeb Moshe ben Shlomo Yaakov. We have a week of learning by Sylvia Gutis, in memory of her mother, Devorah Bat Ruben Chaim, by Sam Levine and Charlie Gelfenstein. Excuse me, in memory of Sam's parents and Charlie's in-laws, Liv Shabbat Avraham Shammai and Yehuda Bat Ben Harav Alexander Ziskin. Today is the 24th of January. We do not have any days of learning. If I'm in a Shemus have an Aliyah, Krank Rafia Velti Yeshiva Shema Tzliya, and the Chol B'nai Yisrael, a good Gaben Shtiah.
Right.
We will try to move along. Today is long Gemara, so if we can focus, we'll do the best we can. Okay. We are going to start. Let's just see. We finished up in the bottom of Yud Aleph Amud Beis yesterday with this issue that was going on about a certain behavior, okay, on the part of Mar Bereid Rav, Acha Bereid Rava, and Adam Chashuv Shani is where we ended. That a person of status, okay, and particularly a Talmid Chacham, okay, should be more stringent on himself in terms of his personal behavior. Okay, so seeing that item, okay, we're going to continue on the top of Yud Bet Amud Aleph, the top line. As I said, it's a lot of Gemara today, starting with this statement by Shmuel, Amar Shmuel. What does Shmuel say here? We're talking about Gentile contractors that are paid for a completed job and not as day workers. Okay, so he says, Mekable Kibolet, those who receive a contract. Okay, and that's why I emphasize it's Gentile contractors. Okay, B'toch hatchum asur, if they are working within the tchum Shabbos of the town or the village or the city. Okay, and therefore the question is, are they working for Jews and doing work that Jews would do? Okay, that's forbidden. Asur chutz l'tchum mutar, outside of the tchum that is permitted. Amar Rav Papa, he says, va'afilu chutz l'tchum lo amran ele deleka mata demekar valahat. And he's saying, Rav Papa, that there, even if we were to permit Gentile contractors to work outside the Tchum Shabbos, that's only if there is not a neighboring town or city nearby in which Jews will live. Within that area. That will notice, that they'll see.
Are these overlapping Tchumim?
No, not necessarily. It's in the same. Okay.
In other words, near means not necessarily.
Right. Okay. Aval ika mata the mekar valahatam asur. But if there is a town that is close to them, okay, because they could be overlapping on one hand, but in this case, not necessarily. Okay, it's forbidden. Okay. Amar Rav Mashar as follows: B'chileka mata the mekar valahatam nami lo amran ela b'shabbatot b'yomim tovim. Okay, so Rav Mashash is saying, and when we say that there is a town, okay, if there's no town that's close to them, nami lo amran, we also didn't say this, ela b'shabbatot b'yomim tovim. This is in regards to Shabbos or Yontif, okay? The lo shchiche inshe the azle lahatam, where on that days that is not common for people to travel there, okay? Aval bechol moed, okay, becholo shel moed, all right? Deshchiche inshe the azle va'atu lahatam, where on chol moed people may travel, okay, to observe the Yontif. We may observe it the first days in their own community and then go during Chol HaMoed, okay, to visit Mishpacha in the neighboring community, right? Or the custom was also to visit their Rebbe at times in a neighboring community. The Azle Va'at Asur, there in that case is forbidden. Forbidden only on Chol HaMoed. They're talking about the fact that these Gentile contractors, okay, who it could appear that, right, that they're working for Jews and that's not appropriate, okay, on Chol HaMoed. That's one aspect. You want an additional comment?
Yeah, I was going to say that if you hire someone on for the day's wage, he's not allowed to work on Shabbos. If you hire him for the project, he can do whatever he wants whenever he wants.
It's his choice when to work.
Obviously, a Jew's property. There's a
problem.
That you hired him for
okay,
the day.
That's why I started with the statement that it begins with Gentile contractors that are paid for a completed job. They're not paid as day workers. Okay, that was the point that we started. The stipulation of this contract that he can't work in right. Okay, so what happens? Mar Zutra.
Someone can go there on the Chol Hamoed this evening. He's not allowed to work on Shabbos and Yom Tov.
Absolutely not. Mar Zutra Bere de Rav Nachman Banu le Abdana. Okay, so for Mar Zutra, there were such contractors, we're going to assume, that built a mansion for him. Okay, and where did they Mekable Kibolet? These were these Gentile contractors. And where did they build it? Chutz l'tchum, outside the Shabbos tchum. Ikla Rav Safra v'Rav Huna bar Chinina. Along came Rav Safra and Rav Huna bar Chinina. V'lo alu legabe, and they would not walk in. They would not go in and visit him there in that house, residence.
Well, I'm sort of getting ahead of myself, but it says here that he would not even go himself.
Well, wait. Let's get to that and then ask. Yeah, okay. So that was the statement because it was built, okay, in that situation.
Shabbos.
And the Gemara then goes on to tell us, Hunami lo al begabe, and he also did not go inside. Okay, the person for whom it was built. Okay, also Mar Zutra would not use it in that situation.
Does that mean he was potentially a mansion flipper?
I don't know.
Yeah, he wanted to be on HGTV.
I don't know. V'ha'amar Shmuel. And Shmuel now says, Mekable kibolet betoch hatchum asor. And according to Shmuel, right? Okay, just as we find in the top of the Amud. Okay? Chutz l'tchum mutar. So we're repeating exactly what we said at the very top of the Amud. Now, what happens? He says, why could we argue that in this particular case, okay, that Mar Zutra didn't enter it himself? Adam chashuv shani. Okay, we see this come up now another time. That because he is more stringent on himself under these circumstances. Okay. Ve'ikad da'amre, and there are others who say it as follows: Siyua siyeya betivna bahadai, that he actually could have been helping them by providing them the straw for the bricks or for the materials and things like that, and that's why he did.
This actually brought in halacha that if you're paying simply and you're totally uninvolved, then he's totally independent. But if you're buying the toilet,
if you're paying for that, then you're
that's too much involvement on your part, and he can't work on Shabbos and Yom Tov, even if it's in a community.
Rav Chama Shara Laho La'av Nunane La'av La'avon Gare. Okay, Rav Chama permitted these avonagare, which are bath attendants, the Bei Reish Galuta, the Me'abad Laho. Now that was one explanation, bath attendants. Another says they're table stewards, waiters. Okay, whatever. But the implication is that these were individuals working in the house of the Reish Galuta. All right, and how would that be possible? Okay, so what happens? Okay, what does it say? Then they were permitted them to work on Chol Hamoed. Amar, and he said, Kevan da agar lo kashakle. Since they don't take any payment, okay, or any reward. In this case, Sharishuyehu the Kamishar Shole. They're sort of doing it more as a favor. All right? Velit Lan Ba.
They were given room and board.
Okay. Well, it doesn't say that in the Gemara. Okay?
Does.
Velit, right? Velit Lan Ba. Was that Art Scroll suggestion?
Yes, that's Rashi.
Okay. All right. But the Gemara doesn't say that. All right. Okay. All right. So what happens? Therefore, it could be that that's the case. They were given room and board, but the Gemara doesn't specify that. And therefore, Valit Lan Ba, and since there is nothing with it, okay, therefore he implied as a result, that's why they did. He permitted them. Tanu Rabbanan, a new bright. Mikablin kibolet b'moed l'sota la'achar hamoed, that it's permissible for these Gentile contractors, again, who are paid for the whole job, not as day workers, emphasizing that as we go on, okay, that may be arranged on Chol HaMoed. In other words, you can hire him, okay, but for work done after the Yom Tov, okay? U'b'moed asur, and on the holiday itself, it is forbidden. Klalo shel davar. Now we get it, right? Kol shehu oseh, omer l'nachriva oseh. All that he may do, okay, or he's capable of doing, he may, okay, what he can inform and arrange for the Gentile to do. The kol she'ino oseh, eino omer l'nachriva oseh. Okay, that is applicable in even today when you're having renovations done in your apartment in Century Village.
Or a housekeeper.
Okay.
That,
Yeah, it could be.
Dishes on Shabbos, so she can wash
Right,
dishes.
right. Okay, I was thinking more of the other. Anyway, Tanya Idach, another Braita teaches. Mekablin kibolet b'moed la'asota la'ar hamoed. We said again, this Braita, another Braita, that one could arrange for these Gentile contractors on the Chol HaMoed to do the work after the Yom Tov. Ubilvad shalo yimdod, so long as they do not measure. For shalo yishkol, and they don't weigh. For shalo yimaneh kederech shehu oseh bechol, and he doesn't count the same way one would normally do so on a weekday. Tanu Rabbanan, a new Braita. Okay, now this is getting into animal husbandry. Okay, we saw last week we were dealing with ants and with all sorts of. Okay. So now notice I've got a granddaughter that's studying animal science, and I mentioned this to her that she should look at this Gemara. Okay, Ein marbi'in behema b'cholo shel moed. We do not breed. I'm going to use that term. Or mate animals on Chol HaMoed. Ki yotzei bo ein marbi'in b'bechor. And in like manner, we do not breed a firstborn. Okay, why? Because we're not permitted to use them, and breeding them is like putting them to work. Okay, which is forbidden. V'lo b'psulei hamukdashin, nor can we do so for animals rendered inappropriate for offerings. Tanya Idach, another Braita. Ein marbi'in behema b'cholo shel moed. Again, we say that we do not breed or mate animals on Chol HaMoed. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, he says, chamura shetav'ah. If we have a female donkey that is in heat and therefore yearns to mate, okay, marbi'in aleh zachar, okay, we do then mate her, right, bishvil shalo titztanen, so she doesn't cool up. Okay, but that would be a hefzer in that case. Vishar kol be'emot, and as far as other animals go, okay, Machnisino tan lebikorot. We put them into corrals, or we pasture them in an area that's closed in, and we let them do what nature requires. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, another bright. Okay, Ein Medairin Lo B'Shabbatot. Okay, we don't, how do I want to best phrase this? Okay, enclose or pasture them, okay, on Shabbos, v'lo b'yamim tovim, and not on holidays, v'lo b'cholo shel moed, and not on intermediate. V'im ba'u me'alehen mutar.
What we're talking about here is you have a flock of sheep, and they ate out in the pasture somewhere. Now you come up with this brilliant idea. You'll put them in field area before you.
All right, and you're going to use their produce is going to fertilize.
Right. But if you have, and if you have non-Jewish shepherds, they, without intervention from you, if they decide that they don't want to go for a cup of coffee, so they put the animals in the enclosed wheat field, even though they then fertilize the ground, that's okay,
acceptable.
You weren't doing it, right? And it's not a harassment to them to do it.
Right. Okay. Right. I was going to get to that in the next piece. Right. Ve'im bo me'alehen, but if they went in on their own mutar. Okay. Now, what is it? What did the Gemara then clarify? Ve'ein misa'in otan, and you cannot help them. Who would you be helping? It's the Gentile shepherds. So the implication here, that's why I was going to say, wait till we got there, okay, was that you can't corral them, or you can't put them in an area where they're going to ultimately produce fertilizer, okay? But if the if the Gentile workers do it, okay, as so long as you don't assist them, okay, that would be permitted. Ve'en mosrin lahem shomer lena'ah at sonam, okay, and you cannot even dedicate or arrange, okay, for somebody else to help herd the flock. Hayas sachir Shabbat, okay. However, says the Gemara continuing, if this person was a worker that gets paid by the week, or gets paid by the month, sachir chodesh, sachir shana, or gets paid by the year, sachir shavua, or he gets paid on a their shavua means a sabbatical.
A week. Oh, sabbatical.
7-year basis. That's the point.
Right.
So in other words, he's got a long-term contract in some way, and he's not a day-again worker. Misayinotan, then you can assist them. Umosrin lahem shomer lina'er et sonam, and you can dedicate a worker, an assistant, a watcher to help them protect, to herd the animals. Rebbe Omer, he says, b'Shabbat, okay, b'tova, all right? And with Shabbat, he says that is a question of, does it out of goodness, out of favor, so to speak. B'Yom Tov, b'Mezonot. On Yom Tov, you could give them provisions. B'Moed, b'Schar. If it's Chol HaMoed, you're able then to pay. Amar Rav Yosef, Hilchata Karebi. And the Rav Yosef saying the law is like Rebbe.
Rabbi.
Okay? All right, new Mishnah. Okay? All right, okay, so let's go on. And likewise, in other words, similar to our discussion previously, okay, which we talked about other aspects of agriculture, and here, okay,
oil, now
okay, right. We're going to get to that in a second. Okay, in terms of instead of dealing just with agricultural issues, we're now going to deal with mercantile issues. Okay, we talked about oil, Now we're dealing with wine, and it says as follows: V'chein mi sheyahaya yeno b'toch habor. If his wine is there in the wine pit, okay, which is next to the press, right, and so on like that. V'iru vel o ones o shehita'u. Okay, and again, there occurred to him either he became a mourner or some accident, or the workers didn't show up. Okay, what can be done? Zolef, v'gomer, v'gaf. Okay, one can draw off the wine, one can finish the work, one can plug the barrels, kidarko, in the normal manner. Divrei Rabbi Yosef. That's the view of Rabbi Yehuda Omer. He says, Oseh lo limudim bishvil shelo yachmitz. He said, according to Rabbi Yehuda, he must use wooden panels, okay, and put that on top of the wine pit.
No,
okay.
The barrels after you empty the wine into.
Okay, my shot had a difference. All right, b'shvil shelo yachmitz, so they don't become chametz, they don't sour.
Does he have to build the wooden panels in private?
No, of course.
Does he have? Theoretically, he should have them in advance. Okay, but otherwise, question: does he have to make the wooden panels?
No, it says
no, the panels.
No, you can. It doesn't have to be wood. You can't. You according to Rabbi Yehudi, you need a shinoi. So you can't.
So this is the shinoi.
But you can take anything practical and cover the barrels.
So you can have the barrels. My text said it was the covering the pool. That was the difference.
That wouldn't help.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, Gimel, Gemara, Tzricha, and we need both examples. We need this
discussion
in this Mishnah, as well as the discussion we had in the previous Mishnah, right, about the oil.
Look at Rashi.
Okay.
Also,
okay. All right. Utsricha, why? The Iyashmein and Kamaita, if we had only learned the earlier one. Bahahi, in this case, Ka'amar Rabbi Yossi, when Rabbi Yossi says what he does, Mishum de Mishcha Nafish Pseda, because with the oil there could be greater loss. Aval Chamra, but in regards to wine, the Lo Nafish Pside, where he doesn't have as great a loss, Ema, Mode Leila Rabbi Yehuda. I might say that he would acknowledge the view of Rabbi Yehuda. V'iyashme'inin batraita. And if I had only learned this later Mishnah, right? Bahahi, in this case, ka'amar Rabbi Yehuda. I might say according to Rabbi Yehuda. Aval bahach, in the other case of the oil, ema modele the Rabbi Yossi. I might have said he would acknowledge the view of Rabbi Yossi. Tzricha. Therefore, I needed both Mishnayos. Okay. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Abba. He says as follows: Man tana shinui b'moed b'davar ha'aved. Who is it, asks Rav Yitzchak bar Abba, that teaches that there must be some sort of change in pattern of how you do the thing, okay, if even in a situation of loss? The lo Rabbi Yossi. It can't be according to Rabbi Yossi, all right, who we said yesterday, remember we said that his view was you could do it in the normal pattern, right? Amar Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef, halacha Rabbi Yossi. The law is like Rabbi Yossi. Ba'u minei Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. And they asked the following of Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Okay, the following. Mahu the Meisha Chavita the Shikra Bechola the Mo'ada. What about sealing a barrel of wine, a beer? Okay, on Chola Moed. Okay, Amar Laho, he said to him. Okay, Amar Laho Sinai. Okay, and they're referring now to Rav Yosef as Sinai. Amar halacha ka Rabbi Yossi. He said the law was like Rabbi Yossi. Okay. Imor, and I would therefore say, the Amar Rabbi Yossi bechamra, that maybe Rabbi Yossi only said this in regards to the chamra, to the wine. B'shikra, in regards to beer, miyamar, did he really say that? Chamra tamamai. Okay, so the question is wine. What was his reasoning? Mishum denafish pside. Why? Because he has a greater loss. Okay. Shikra nami eat ba psida. But with the beer also, he's going to have a loss. The Amar Abai, as Abai says, Amra li'e, my mother. Okay, his nurse really told him. Bar shit save vishia. Okay, if you have a barrel that has 6 seya in it and it's sealed, okay, me better to have that, me bar tamne veloshia, than a barrel of 9, 8 seya, and it's not sealed. Amar Rav Chama Bar Giuria, and he says, Amar Rav, the name of Rav, Hilchot Moed ki Hilchot Kutim. Okay, that all right, that the laws of regarding Chol Amoed are similar in a manner. I'm putting that in quotes to the laws dealing with Kutim or Nachrim. Okay, all right. What do we mean by that? Bahalacha. Okay, regarding the practice of deriving law. Lamai hilchata. What do we mean in terms of that law? Amar Rav Daniel Bar Katina, he says, Amar Rav in the name of Rav, Lomar she'ein akurot, she'ein, I'm sorry, that they are akurot, they are barren. Okay, all right, what does that mean? Ve'ein lameidot zomizo, and one doesn't learn from them. And the same way a barren woman does not have progeny, likewise, these laws of Chol Hamoed, they don't have, so to speak, progeny. You can't derive or learn or carry over other things from them. Okay? The Amar Shmuel, as Shmuel says, Zoftin Kusta ve'en Zoftin Chavita. We can seal a jug with a patch, but can't seal a barrel. Rav Dimi Minardei Amar Zoftin Chavita. He says we can seal the barrel, ve'ein Zoftin Kusta, but we don't seal the jug, right? Mar Chiesh Lepseda. One master was concerned about loss, Umar Chiesh Letircha, and another master was concerned about the exertion, the effort. Amar Abaye, and Abaye says, Naktinen Hilchot Moed ki Hilchot Shabbat. Let us take the laws of Chol Moed like we do the laws of Shabbos. Namely, as we go on, Yesh mehen patur aval asur. There are examples here where we have something that is patur, it may be permitted, but
it's not punishable.
Not that's what I meant. It's not to be punished, but it is necessarily still forbidden. V'yesh mehen mutar lechatchila, and there are other items which are permitted. Okay? Now we have come back to a new piece. Rav Huna hatzdu le chatzada b'mo'ada. Rav Huna had his field harvested on Chol Hamoed. Okay, Eitive Rabba bar Rav Huna the Rav Huna, and he was challenged by his son. Rabba bar Rav Huna raised a question to his father. Right, Tochanin kemach b'moed letzorach hamoed. One can grind flour, okay, on the Chol Hamoed for the purpose of the celebration of the holiday. V'shelo letzorach hamoed asur, and if it's not for the purpose of the holiday, it is forbidden.
Hidden.
Davar sha'amud b'mo'ed mutar la'asoto b'mo'ed. And something where there may be a loss regarding the holiday, okay? Therefore, it's permitted on Chol Hamoed. Davar she'eino avud b'mo'ed asur. And something where there is no loss, that's forbidden. B'med dvarim amurim, what are we talking about? Bitlushin min hakarka. We're talking, he was arguing with his father with something that is already separated from the, okay? Separated from the ground. Okay, in other words, it's in the, what we'll call it for the moment, harvest process.
It's already harvested.
But if it is still attached to the ground, in other words, it's not begun the harvest process, all right? Afilu kulo avud asur. Even if it's all going to be lost, it is forbidden. V'im ein lo ma ya'achal. And if he doesn't have what to eat, kotzer, he can cut it. Ume'amer, and pile it into piles, right? Vidash, and thresh it. Vizoreh, and uborer, he can winnow it using the wind and separate it. V'tochein, and then he can grind it. All right? Ubilvad shelo yadush beparot.
Does that mean for his own consumption?
Yeah.
Or does that
Yes,
mean that he can
yes,
sell it? And then
yes, no. It's for his, okay, okay, if primarily for his consumption, and if he needs to use that produce to buy food for the holiday, then he will.
We'll get that later.
All right? Okay, so what happens? Amarle, he says to him,
I just want to comment
yeah.
that it's beautiful. He didn't just say, Tati, you're raw. He went through this whole discussion of the halacha so that his father, he was not directly chastising his father.
Your mother never had the...
Very true.
Yeah,
Very.
nobody ever did
Okay, Amarle, he said to him, Yechidahi. Okay, that seems below Seviralan Kivate. That is an individual's opinion. Okay? And we do not hold by him. Titania, not elsewhere in a Braita. Klal Amar Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, Mishum Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said a general principle in the name of Rabbi Yossi. Davar hatalut min hakarka, something that is separated already from the ground. Afilu miksato avud, even if only some part of it, a small portion, is going to be lost. Mutar, it is permitted. Bahamechubar lekarka, and that which is still attached to the ground. Afilu kulo avud asur. Even then, if all of it is going to be lost, that is prohibited. Va'i Rabbi Yossi. If this is the view of Rabbi Yossi, Yidush Nami b'paro. Let him also thresh it using cows. Right? Ha Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Abba. Here then, however, Rabbi Yitzchak bar Abba says, Man Tana Shemir B'davar ha'arivut. Who is it then that teaches the requirement of doing it in a different manner? Okay, on the Chol Hamoed, even when there is a situation of potential loss, the Loka Rabbi Yossi, it can't be according to Rabbi Yossi. Marla, he would say to you, Hachanami, here too, Kevan de Kol Yoma Lav B'Perot. Why? Because he could say, since on a daily basis, not everyone uses cow for threshing, right? Ha'idna nami lav shinuihu. Today, too, this would not necessarily be a viable shinui, a valuable shinui. Tanu Rabbanan, says the Braita. Tochanin b'moed letzorech hamoed. Back to this writing now, which says that we may grind on Chol Hamoed for the purpose of the holiday itself. V'shelo letzorech hamoed asur. And not for the purpose of the holiday, no, it's prohibited. Ve'im tachan v'hotir, okay, and if he grinds and there's leftover, harei ze mutar, that is permitted, okay. What happens, says the Gemara? Kotzutzin etzim b'moed b'tzorech hamoed. So let's take another example. What about if I need wood to heat up my oven or my stove to be able to cook my food on Yom Tov? Okay, but right now we're going to have to talk to Zeus to put a little heat on in the mornings. Up here, we can chop and cut wood on Chol Hamoed for the need of wood on the holiday. But if it's not for the purpose of the holiday, it's prohibited. And if he cut and there was left over, it is permitted. Another example, matilin shechar b'moed letzorech hamoed. We may brew beer on Chol Hamoed for the purpose of the holiday. V'shelo letzorech hamoed, and if it's not for the purpose of the holiday, asur, it is forbidden. Okay. Furthermore, v'im hitil v'hotir harei ze mutar ubilvad shelo ya'arim. And here we get the important message that if there is some left over from the beer, okay, what happens? It is permitted, but so long as one does not use, and I like the Art Scrolls translation better than Koren here. Art Scrolls said subterfuge, okay, or trickery.
But it's interesting because with regard to cooking and Yom Tov, you can use harem. I'd say I'm making a humongous pot of stew just in case
I have
people show up.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Urminhu. But let's challenge this with a bright. Umatilin shechar b'moed letzorech hamoed. We said we can brew beer on Chol Hamoed for the purpose of the holiday itself. Letzorech hamoed asur, and not for the holiday itself is prohibited. Echad shachar tmarim. The same applies to beer from dates. Ve'echad shechar seorim. And the same applies to beer made from barley. V'af al pi sheyesh lo yashan. And even though he may have old beer, okay, he has some in his basement. Ma'arim v'shotem min achadash. Okay, one in this case can use arama, some subterfuge, and drink from the new. Tanaihi. But this is a machloket Tanaim, says the Gemara. The Tanya ein ma'arimin b'chach. Because elsewhere a Braita says we cannot use trickery or subterfuge in this regard. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda Omer, he says, ma'arimin. He says we can brew. Rav. So therefore, do we have an answer? No, we don't have a clear answer.
Why doesn't he just say that on Yom Tov you got to be smart b'chagecha? You'd rather have fresh new wine than old one. Because it's not true. Well, that doesn't work on that.
Okay, that's the issue. Okay.
Beer, yes.
The beer is different. Remember, they drank. Remember, we're talking again about the difference between Bavel and Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael, they drank more wine. Bavel, they drank more beer. Okay. All right, let's go on. Rav chatzdulo chatzda bechula b'moada. Back to this issue. Okay, before it was Rav Huna. Different. Rav. Okay, exactly. All right, who had a crop harvested on Chol Hamoed. Shema Shemuel, Ikpad. And Shmuel heard about it and he was disturbed. Okay, that's one translation. Lema Shmuel, does this mean that Shmuel holds like this single or individual opinion? Okay, right?
Rav Yossi.
Right, exactly. No, she says. Chatzda dechite have delo hava psid. Okay? No, he says it was a field of wheat. Okay? And it would not have been any loss if he waited. Right, but it was still necessary.
Even if it's still attached.
Right, it's the question is number one, is it still attached? And number two, and if he had waited a week, how much would the loss have been? Okay? The Rav, my Tama Avitachi, and Rav, what was the reason that he did as he did? Okay? Ein lo ma yachal hava. He said if he didn't have anything to eat.
He didn't have anything.
What does that mean? Shmuel lo saimu hakame. And Shmuel didn't know his situation. Inami. Or else, Duvshani. Well, he could have thought perhaps that since he was an important person, he should have been more stringent on himself. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya. Okay, now we have another different kind of example. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya nafak bechumarta. Right, the Medusha. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya would go out with a ring. On the ring was a seal made of coral. Okay, right. What happens? Not only that, ve'ishte maya da'achim fela arma'a. He would drink water that was heated by a non-Jewish cook. Okay, goodness. Shama Rabbi Ami heard about this, and he also was disturbed. Okay, after all, Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya was the grandson, right, of Rabbi, and he was the Nasi. So we're back to our issue of Ish Chashuv. All right, Amar Rav Yosef, Maitama, what was the reason he was disturbed? Imishum Chumarta, right, the Medusha, if it was because of the issue of the stringency regarding the whole
the ring
and all that issue.
The ring, the signet ring.
If it was these, right, the coral signet ring, right? Bechumar to the Medusha, the signet ring. Hatanya, aren't we taught? Hashirin, Hanizamim, Vahatabaot, that in regards to bracelets and the nose rings and regular rings or earrings, Hare Hain Kichol HaKelim Hanitalin Bechatzer. These are like other utensils that can be worn outside, that can be carried, right?
In the chutzner.
In the courtyard.
Right.
If it's because of the fact that he drank water that was heated by a non-Jewish cook. Ha'amar Shmuel bar Yitzchak amar Rav. But here didn't Shmuel bar Yitzchak in the name of Rav say the following? Kol shene'achal kamot shehu chai. Anyone who eats something in its, I'll call it for the moment, natural state, in its that can be eaten in its natural state. Ein bo mishum b'shulei nachrin. Then we don't apply the rule of bishul nachri. Okay. Adam chashuv shani. And again, our answer is a person of status, important person, that is different. Amar Rav Chananel, Amar Rav. He says as follows. All right. What are we talking about now? Kotzeitz Adam dekel b'moed. It says that a person may cut a certain kind of tree, okay, a palm tree on moed. Afal pi she'enot tzarich ela l'nesoret shelo, even though all he needs is the sawdust from it. Liyet Allah Abai. And Abai cursed him. Rav Ashi Havale Abba B'Shonaya. Rav Ashi had a forest in the area of Shonaya. Azal Lamiktsaya B'Choloduma'ada. And he went one time to chop some of the wood on Cholamoy. Okay, whatever he needed. Amarle Rav Shila Mishnaya Rav. And the local Rav Shila of the town of Shloinaya, says to Rav Ashi, Ma'ida de Kamar Rav Chananel, what is your opinion in regards to what was said by Rav Chananel in the name of Rav? Kotzei tzadam dekel b'moed, afal pi she'enot tzarich elel nesoret shelo, ha liyet ala abaye. That in a situation where one goes to cut wood on Chol HaMoed, even though they only need sawdust, that Abaye cursed him. What do you think of that? Amarle, he says to him, Lo Shamiele, I didn't hear it, which really means, says the Gemara, Klomar Lo Savirali. I don't even hold by it, he says. What happens? Ishtamit Narga. Okay. What happened is the iron of the axe slipped off, right? By lemifsake l'shake, and it almost cut off his leg. Shavke, he went left. Vahadar ata, and then he would come back later. Right? And therefore, well, Vahadar ata means he changed his perspective, but he also implies he would come back after Chol HaMoed and then cut the wood. Okay? Double. Rav Yehuda Shara Me'akar Kitna Ulamiktal Kshuta. Rav Yehuda permitted one to uproot flax, Ulamiktal Kshuta, and to harvest hops, Ulame'akar Shumshame, and also to uproot sesame. All right? Amarle Abai the Rav Yosef, and Abai says to Rav Yosef, Bishlema, I understand regarding the flax. He needs it for covering. Okay? Whatever reason, as a cover. Kishuta regards to hops. Why? Because it's suitable to make food. But the sesame seed, what is it needy? What is it suitable for? Why? Because it's worthwhile. The seeds can be eaten, dry seeds right? Eat, or he's going to make halava from it for the holiday, right? A hummus, right? Okay, right? Or halava, right? Rabbi Yanai Havale Hahu Pardisa Demate Zamne Becholo Demoad. Another story. Rabbi Yanai had a certain orchard which reached its time of ripening. Okay, on Chol. Okay, and what's our concern? Hefsei. Okay, katfe. All right. What? He harvested it. Lashana, the next year. Shahayuha. Alma, the Pardisaihu, the next year, the entire community put off and waited, right, to do their orchards, the Chola to do theirs on Chol HaMoed, right? Afkare Rabbi Yanai, the Pardise, Hahushata. And what did he do? He made his orchard hefker of that year. Okay, so that people would learn. He saw that they learned inappropriately from his behavior, and therefore he made his.
There could have been a 10-day between harvest times between the 2 years because of the move of the Jewish calendar, or it could be make something like about 20 or 21 day gap if it was coming into release. No.
Right, still.
No, we're talking about.
But still the issue.
We're talking about in the case. They deferred their to time ripening for Cholam.
They specifically they followed what he did. He had a valid reason. They saw what he did. They did improperly. Okay, and therefore, okay, he didn't wanted them to realize, to learn a lesson. Okay, let's just finish up. I'm going to go on a little bit further and finish a little bit more down on the daf. A person can bring in their fruits because of the thieves, and he can draw out his flax from the pool, so it won't be lost. And so long as he doesn't do his plan it to come out as his work on the holiday. And if they plan their work to come out that way, there should be a loss. Tana. Excuse me. All right. So long as he did it privately, in secret in his home. Okay. Rav Yosef Havale Besure Mama. Rav Yosef brought wooden beams into his house during the day. Okay. Amar Abai said to him, Bahatanya, don't you see, didn't you learn that he should do it in in private in his home? Marley said to him, Sin'ah, Dahani Yamamahu. Doing it in by secret was better to be done during in broad daylight. Why? Kevan de Belelia, Ba'u Gavre. I would need more people. Ubau Midukre. Denora, I would need torch bearers to light. Ivasha Milka. And therefore it would be more noticeable. Right? So that's right. That's where we'll pick up tomorrow. Okay.
Hey Ron, do me a favor. Can you mute your phone next time?
Okay.
Yeah, because I can hear your entire family talking in the background.
All right, everybody. Have a good day. Stay well.
Everyone have a good day. Bye-bye.